All right, how you doing, folks? Ordinary came back today. What I want to do today is kind of just supplement what I spoke about yesterday, because I found something that came out earlier this morning, which I wish I came out yesterday so I could have been able to show it. But in particular, it had to do a lot with the fact that we have pretty good unemployment, but things still feel pretty shaky. In particular, if we look at our unemployment here, like I said yesterday, it's at 3.6%. That's the most recent one, which is pretty much in line to pre-pandemic. February 2022, 3.5% unemployment. The only difference is it feels a lot worse. You know, in February 2020, it felt pretty good. The economy was rolling. It was a juggernaut. It was moving well. Now, people are back to work, but when you take a look at it and you listen to what's going on, all you hear about is supply chain constraints, shortages, higher prices, and everything. So the idea is like, how is it that people are all back to work, but yet we're not able to, we don't feel so good about the economy. Things kind of feel on much shakier grounds. One of the things I mentioned was that two things. The first one was that more money was given to people while they're off of work. So in between, having a job, being unemployed, and returning back to work, they were all given a lot of money from stimulus, and that money has to go somewhere. So we've all been on a crazy demand surge. The second thing was that I mentioned that the unemployment rate only shows kind of a numerical evidence of how many people are at work. It doesn't show where the people have gone to work. So you could have someone who started off in the hospitality industry February 2020, and now 2 years later, when they've gone back to work, they haven't gone back to their original job. They might have gone for a more high-paying job, a job that might not be in particular with supply chain related, might not be some of those more nitty-gritty blue-collar jobs where you're packaging or you're doing things that are more directly related to the supply chain and how products are gone from sourced all the way to your grocery store. And it might now be for jobs that are more behind a desk. Could be tech, could be administration, all that. All the while, consumer demand is still there. So in particular, with consumer demand, what I want to show is that I can only get data for the past couple months, but we've seen that it's still going pretty well. Outside of the fact that the holidays, I guess, weren't that great, January and February have still seen increases. So people want to buy a lot of things. We're still seeing people are interested in spending their money of sorts. At least that's what the numbers are telling us. And people are all back to work. So it kind of gives me the idea that maybe the reason why is that people left when they lost their jobs in 2020, then returned back to jobs in 2022 that are probably more high paying and in a different industry. And like I said, there's a good chance that you've had people that left jobs that might be in trucking, in transportation, in product sourcing, and pretty much getting products from raw materials all the way to your local grocery store, your local shop, whatever it is. They switched out those jobs in order to get jobs that are more in automation, in tech, in administration, in business of sorts. And when I was stumbling across the news today, what I found was this Wall Street Journal article saying that blue-collar workers are making a big leap to tech jobs outside of jobs that don't require, outside of jobs that might be more blue-collar and into jobs that are more quote-unquote white-collar, in which there's also no college degree necessary. I work in tech. I can say that this is an interesting headline, so to say, but this is not the first time I've seen a story like this, where someone who was working maybe as a bartender or waitress took up a couple courses on Udemy, Coursera, or even YouTube to learn programming, and then in a year or so, they went from their bartending job to a job as an entry-level programmer at a certain software company, or really any tech company. And when you take a look at it, we've had 2 years to do that same thing. You've had the ability to pretty much spend it on YouTube or buy a discounted course on Udemy to learn programming, make a couple projects, and when you go apply for those jobs, there's a better chance you're going to get hired because one, tech companies and business companies are hiring tech roles like crazy, and two, you've been able to get at least somewhat experience to show that you can at least start an entry-level position. So you've gone from making, whatever it is, like $10 an hour as a bartender plus tips, to now getting salary, benefits, and all those kind of things, which is much more alluring if you're someone who just got laid off. If you were just in the pandemic and you saw that as a bartender you're having a great time, but the pandemic comes and you get fired like that, you're thinking, well, why would I want to return to that if I can get a job that's a little bit more stable, a little bit more consistent, especially a tech role, which has been shown that much more in demand, much more needed something that's going to be able to kind of provide more padding in recession as opposed to just a bartending job. And I think that's been a stronger case when people have kind of put to mind that the reason why we're seeing so many demand issues is that there is higher demand. We're still spending, and we're probably even spending more. And two, the idea that the people who used to work at those jobs that are able to fulfill the demand are now in different roles that aren't necessarily fulfilling demand for products that we need, but more so fulfilling demand for growth in different companies. So it's just something I saw that I wanted to supplement from yesterday. What does it mean for you? I think the same thing that I mentioned yesterday is that there's always a chance to be able to make a career change like this individual has in this photo. I'm not to describe, so I don't know what her story was here, but I'm guessing it was something that she was working in a factory or she was working in an hourly job, hourly paid job, and then spent some time, a couple months learning some programming, and then moved to a tech role. And I think that's completely possible. I think there's many websites, like I said, you could use YouTube just for free stuff, but even stuff on Udemy, Coursera, Udacity, you can learn. And it's not just tech, by the way. I think you can, if you spend 6 to 12 months learning any skill that's in demand right now, it's going to be pretty changing. You'll notice a lot of changes in the upcoming months for you, in particular with job searches. One, because there's the skills that are in demand are the ones that are being hired for. I think right now, as I said yesterday, the official stat is there's 1.8 job openings for every individual unemployed, meaning that if you were to apply to a job, there's a chance that there's going to be at least 2 companies fighting for you to hire you, as opposed to what we've usually heard is that there's usually 2 applicants fighting for 1 role. Let alone if you're looking to get a job in tech, I think it's more like 4 to 1, that there's 4 open roles for every 1 individual applying. So that's what it means for you. I think if you spend a little bit of time, carve out some time to just learn a couple things. It doesn't have to be specific programming. It could just be, like I've said, Excel. If you're, all of a sudden become amazing in Excel in the next couple months, there's going to be companies lining up to hire you as well. So that's what it means for you. I think there's a lot of possibilities if you're looking to make a career change. Just going to take a little bit of time. You got to be a little bit patient, spend a couple months, but it's all possible there. And, higher pay, more money to spend, more discretionary income, more ordinary income. How about that? But yeah, that's all I wanted to do was kind of do a little compliment to yesterday. And so let me know if you guys have any questions, if anything doesn't make sense. But that's all for today and this week. I hope you all enjoy. I'll be back on Monday to see if anything changed over the weekend or some more economic news. Catch you later, folks.